Tomorrow night's drawing will be worth an estimated $835 million. Cash prize would be $390 million. That's the fourth largest jackpot in the game's history. And finally, it's been raining for days in much of the country.
But one giraffe doesn't seem to mind. His name is Caesar. He lives at the Maryland Zoo in Baltimore, and he loves, look at this, catching raindrops on his tongue. The zoo says rainy days bring peaceful vibes from the giraffe yard. That is adorable. Have you ever fed a giraffe?
I have not fed a giraffe, no.
Its tongue is so long, it feels funny when it's grabbing the lettuce.
And grabbing all the rain there, too. Top headlines next.
For 30 years, my brother's death was this mystery. Was he pushed? Did he kill himself?
There's been some human remains found at the bottom of North Head, and the body was naked.
Committing suicide naked is almost unheard of. What's going on here?
We've had some chilling evidence.
Oh my goodness, no one knew it was coming.
It's about finding justice for my brother.
Sometimes you just have to stir the pot.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
When I got sent to Idaho to cover the murders of 4 college students, it was a story that didn't make any sense. 4 students stabbed to death in their beds while 2 roommates were home.
You got to think to yourself, okay, who's the target and how many people would a man go through to get to his target?
I'm Kana Whitworth with ABC News. This is the story of savage murders, a determined small-town police force, and a scholar of crime. This is The King Road Killings. The full series is out now. Listen to every episode wherever you get your podcasts.
This is America's #1 streaming news. ABC News Live. Breaking news, exclusives, live reporting across the globe. ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Here in London, in Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, Edinburgh, Scotland. Reporting from Rolling Fork, Mississippi. Ukrainian refugees here in Warsaw. We're heading to a small community outside of Mexico City. Getting you behind the stories as they happen. ABC News Live Prime. We'll take you there.
Stream ABC News Live weeknights wherever you stream your news. Only on ABC News Live.
Checking more top stories, President Biden joins auto workers on the picket line in Michigan today. Meanwhile, the clock is ticking down towards a government shutdown. Speaker Kevin McCarthy does not appear to have the votes as he battles far-right Republicans over a spending deal.
Louisiana's governor is asking for a federal emergency declaration due to a saltwater intrusion into the Mississippi River. With the river's volume dropping due to drought conditions, saltwater from the Gulf could reach water treatment plants near New Orleans.
In New York City, a third suspect is now held without bail in connection with the death of a toddler exposed to fentanyl at a daycare facility. New figures show fentanyl is being detected in more than 80% of overdose deaths in New York.
Today's weather, heavy rain and wind in the northwest, storms in the Midwest, and more heavy rain along the Gulf Coast.
Finally, the revolutionary device for the blind.
Danny New shows us.
Today is the best time to be a blind person in the world.
Greg Stilson is a project manager at the federally funded organization American Printing House, which is about to unveil a piece of technology they call revolutionary.
The Monarch display is a tool.
The Monarch could drastically improve the way people who are blind, especially students, can learn. For starters, it displays 10 lines of Braille at once, while most electronic readers only can handle 1.
You cannot read like that.
And this is the big upgrade. The Monarch can also present graphics and charts in full, not line by line like many readers today. I mean, imagine trying to solve a graphing equation like that.
I'd have to remember all the changes that I need to make to the current equation, as well as the line above it.
Not to mention, the Monarch can also store multiple textbooks, which you don't think about, but take a look at just how big one Braille textbook is when printed out and stacked.
I think that's more than most backpacks will accommodate.
That's APH VP of Government Relations Paul Schroeder testifying before a Congress subcommittee back in March. They're trying to secure more funding because this item is going to cost thousands of dollars when it finally hits the market, and they want to make sure it gets into classrooms.
Blind students are resilient. We have had to learn many times without sufficient materials.
APH says the Monarch should be available sometime next year, but for now, at least there's hope for students like Arushi that technology is going to finally catch up just in time for college.
I've heard from many visually impaired people who have been to college that it takes sometimes like a whole entire quarter for you to get your textbooks in Braille. That's why I'm really excited for this.
So now APH is currently field testing, and they need teachers to volunteer to try out the Monarch with their students who are blind. So if you're interested, the website is aph.org/meet-monarch. Andrew Rhiannon, isn't that awesome?
Yeah, not just innovative, but potentially life-changing as well. That's what's making news in America this morning.
Have a great day. Right now in America this morning, Biden joins the picket lines, making history as he visits the striking auto workers one day before former President Trump. His message, and new overnight, yet another industry now authorizing a strike, this time affecting video game producers.
Defiant. The senator indicted on bribery charges accused of keeping gold bars and nearly $500,000 in cash in his house explains where all the money came from, but are his colleagues buying it? Overnight, a key figure speaking out, urging Bob Menendez to resign.
On alert, dramatic new video showing a crime that's on the rise at gas stations and in parking lots. What drivers need to know.
Caught on camera how a dispute over curly fries turned messy and violent at this drive-thru.
Paying tribute to a beloved star from TV's NCIS.
The way things turned out, so will I.
His remarkable acting and music career spanning generations.
Later, a change in the pumpkin patch this Halloween affecting much of the country.
And the latest twist in the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce romance rumors. Even Bill Belichick is weighing in.
From
ABC News in New York, this is America This Morning.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm Andrew Dimberg.
Good morning to you. I'm Rhiannon Alley. We begin with President Biden stepping into the middle of a high-stakes labor dispute in the U.S. auto industry.
Today, he'll make history, joining workers on the picket lines in Michigan one day before a scheduled visit by former President Trump, both trying to appeal to working-class voters.
ABC's Ike Ajachi is here now with a preview. Ike, good morning.
Good morning, Rhiannon. President Biden is taking the extraordinary step of joining the picket line with striking UAW union members, all at a time when CEO pay continues to skyrocket.
We are the union!
This morning, it's day 12 of the United Auto Workers Union strike against the big three U.S. car manufacturers, General Motors, Chrysler Stellantis, and Ford. In his strongest move of support yet, President Biden planning to punctuate his vocal support for auto workers today in Michigan by joining members on the picket line, a move many believe to be a first for a sitting president in living memory.
They give everything from the pensions on, and they save the automobile industry.
Former President Trump will bring his own message to a crowd of union members on Wednesday. Members of the union are demanding a 40% increase in wages and stronger benefits.
If you take a look at the significant increase in salaries for the executives and growth of the industry, they should benefit from it.
The most recent SEC filings show all of the big three CEOs earned more than $20 million last year, with GM CEO Mary Barra topping the list at $29 million. The three CEOs earned around 300 times what the average employee earns, according to the Wall Street Journal.
Nobody wants to be out here. We want to be in there working. We want to be, getting parts to our customers and to the dealers. But it comes to a point where you had to draw a line in the sand.
On Friday, Union President Shawn Fain announcing their strike expanded to dozens of more GM and Chrysler Stellantis factories across 20 states. 13% of the union's 146,000 members are now in the picket lines. Ford, however, has been spared. Fain saying Ford is showing that they're serious about reaching a deal. In a statement, Ford saying there's still significant gaps to close on key economic issues. Now, as President Biden makes his way to Michigan today, the White House was adamant that the details of any deal should be left up to the negotiating parties. Andrew?
Ike, thank you. Another strike, by the way, could be called at any time now that workers in the video game industry have approved a walkout. They're represented by the same union, SAG-AFTRA, that represents Hollywood actors who are on strike. The union citing concerns, including pay and artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, the Hollywood Writers Union begins taking a series of votes today to approve a tentative deal to end their strike. We could also learn the exact terms of the deal today, but Hollywood productions won't start up again until the actors' strike is settled.
Now to the showdown in Washington. Lawmakers have just 4 days to approve new spending bills or the government could shut down. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is expected to hold a vote on several bills this week, even though he does not have the support needed to move ahead. McCarthy can only afford to lose 4 Republican votes, and several conservative Republicans have demanded deeper spending cuts and stricter border policies. If there's a shutdown, the Biden administration says nearly 7 million mothers and their children could lose food assistance, and 4 million federal workers could lose their pay. Andy Coakley, whose husband serves in the Coast Guard, is frustrated.
They shouldn't have to worry that, after we're at 23 years of service, that service is basically all of a sudden you're not getting a paycheck because some higher entity can't decide on a bill and can't figure out a way to pay you.
Meanwhile, credit rating agency Moody's is warning of long-lasting damage, saying a government shutdown could hurt the U.S. credit rating.
Now to the growing pressure on New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez after being indicted on bribery charges. Rolls of cash and gold bars allegedly found in his home. He's now explaining some of it.
I recognize this will be the biggest fight yet.
This morning, New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez faces new pressure to step down after being charged with bribery and selling state secrets to Egypt. Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, a fellow Democrat, now weighing in.
The charges are formidable. And if, in fact, we're going to say that if you're indicted, you should resign, then it'd probably be a good idea if he did resign.
And a third Democratic colleague in the Senate has now called on him to quit, but Menendez remains defiant.
I firmly believe that when all the facts are presented, not only will I be exonerated, but I still will be the New Jersey's senior senator.
He and his wife are charged with taking bribes to help local businessmen fend off criminal investigations. Menendez offered this explanation for the $480,000 in cash found in his home, including all those bills stuffed in a jacket embroidered with his name.
For 30 years, I have withdrawn thousands of dollars in cash from my personal savings account, which I have kept for emergencies and because of the history of my family facing confiscation in Cuba. Now, this may seem old-fashioned, but these were monies drawn from my personal savings account based on the income that I have lawfully derived over those 30 years.
But the senator did not explain how he got this new Mercedes, or why he had these gold bars in his home, or why after returning home from a trip to Egypt, he allegedly searched online, how much is 1 kilo of gold worth? Menendez has already been forced to give up his role as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He, his wife, and 3 others named in the indictment are due in court tomorrow. Menendez did not answer any questions at that news conference. A previous bribery case against him ended in a mistrial in 2017. If convicted this time, he could face 45 years in prison.
Overseas, Ukraine claims to have killed a top Russian Navy commander. It says the head of Russia's Black Sea Fleet was among 34 officers killed in Friday's airstrike in Crimea. Moscow has not confirmed the claim. Meanwhile, the first U.S. Abrams tanks have now arrived in Ukraine, and fighter jets promised by the White House are expected later this winter.
In medical news, a possible breakthrough for people who suffer from long-haul COVID symptoms. Scientists studied the blood of patients who suffered long-term effects like shortness of breath and cognitive difficulties. The study found the patient's blood has certain differences in immune and hormone function compared to other people who recovered from COVID. Researchers hope this study will lead to a blood test that can diagnose long-haul COVID.
We have dramatic new video this morning showing a crime that is on the rise in parking lots. Drivers, beware. A Texas woman is recalling the terrifying moment she became the victim of a so-called slider crime. It's just so fast. Surveillance video shows the woman arriving in this Houston parking lot where another car pulls up behind her. A man gets out, crouches down, and slides into the victim's unlocked passenger door, trying to take her purse. The woman screams, honking her horn repeatedly, and the man gives up after a few seconds.
Honestly, it was a fight or flight reaction.
Police across the country, including in Houston and Atlanta, have warned of an increase in slider crimes. That's when a thief quickly sneaks into an unlocked car to steal valuables. Most cases are at gas stations when victims are outside their vehicles. But the victim in Houston says a feature in her car put her in danger. She says the man got inside because her car automatically unlocks when it's put into park.
So I can't watch the video with the sounds on because you can just hear the terror in my voice.
Police urge you to stay alert when you park your car. Always lock your doors when you leave the car, no matter what the circumstances are.
New worries about the impact of climate change at the bottom of the world. Winter is ending there, and researchers say the sea ice level around Antarctica has hit record low levels. They warn less ice could harm penguins and other wildlife. It's time now for a look at your Tuesday weather.
Good morning. A pattern change is already underway in the Pacific Northwest. This week, a series of storms will bring wind and rain from Seattle and Portland southward down the I-5 corridor. It will be good for drought relief, but there'll be some rough seas and some flooding as well. From one coast to the other, we have what's left of Ophelia making its way off the Jersey Shore as we head through today. There still will be impacts with coastal flooding and wind from New York, Long Island southward today. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Kevin Coskren.
Coming up, the suspect leading police on a chase in a golf cart.
Also ahead, yet another case of severe turbulence. This time, several people were injured on a JetBlue flight. Our expert weighs in.
And the political heavyweight matchup now confirmed. Is DeSantis versus Newsom a glimpse into the future?
Whenever news breaks.
The crushing families here in Poland.
Here in Kentucky, no match for the tornado.
From Monterey Park, California, on the ground in Ukraine.
Reporting from Uvalde, Texas. ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine. Reporting from the earthquake in Turkey.
From Charleston, South Carolina, on the 2024 campaign trail. From Kathmandu, Nepal.
Truckee, California, covering record snowfall.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
Here at this airport in Tampa, it's already shut down.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Reporting from Jerusalem.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news.
It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me.
Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us, afternoons.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
Me.
For 30 years, my brother's death was his mystery. Was he pushed? Did he kill himself?
Despite some human remains found at the bottom of North Head, and the body was naked.
Committing suicide naked is almost unheard of. What's going on here?
We've had some chilling evidence.
Oh my goodness, no one knew it was coming.
It's about finding justice for my brother.
Sometimes you just have to stir the pot.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. If you love being in the know, you're going to love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
Back, a new video of a fast food employee in Texas shooting at a drive-thru customer after an argument over missing curly fries. The Jack in the Box employee threw ketchup and ice and then pulled a gun from her uniform, shooting at the family's vehicle. No one was injured. The fight happened in 2021, but the video was just released as part of a lawsuit. In Los Angeles, a different kind of police chase. A shirtless man took off in a golf cart with a dog in his lap. He was wanted for assault with a deadly weapon. He had speeds up to 18 miles per hour, losing police several times before being caught at a 7-Eleven.
Aviation authorities are investigating yet another case of severe turbulence. 8 people were injured on this flight from Ecuador to Fort Lauderdale. Some experts say the changing climate with more storms influencing wind speeds is a factor in the recent increase in turbulence injuries. And that means seatbelts are even more important.
Severe turbulence is a very specific class of turbulence, and it is so heavy that basically anything that's not tied down is going to get thrown around the aircraft, including people. It's not always possible for pilots to know where these patches of severe turbulence are. 9 times out of 10 we do. But when we suspect there's something up there and we turn on the seatbelt sign, that's exactly when you need to sit down and strap in.
The FAA received 17 reports of severe injuries related to turbulence last year. That is up from 13 reports in 2019.
Now to politics, and word that 2 political heavyweights have agreed to debate each other, fueling speculation that both are eyeing the White House. Here's ABC's Lionel Moise.
This morning, it's official. One of the biggest political fights of the year has been scheduled. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will face off against the man who could be considered his political opposite, California Governor Gavin Newsom. The 90-minute debate will be moderated by Sean Hannity on Fox News in November. Newsom, who has been rallying support for the Biden-Harris ticket, repeatedly saying he is not running for president in 2024, was asked again on 60 Minutes Sunday.
Does cleaning up the streets of California factor into a potential presidential run?
I'm never going to overpromise that in the short run. I mean, we are struggling in the state.
Is that a yes or a no?
That was a never-ending response to your question.
His face-to-face showdown with DeSantis has been debated for some time. Newsom's spokesperson saying, "We've agreed to the debate, provided there is no cheering section, no hype videos. We want a real debate, not a circus." DeSantis' team saying, whether Newsom or Biden is the Democratic nominee in 24, they both offer the same failed and dangerous ideology for America that helped get us in this mess. But before the governors square off, 7 GOP candidates are prepping for tomorrow night's primary debate at the Reagan Library in California. Not on the list, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, who failed to meet the requirements. President Trump is once again skipping this debate and will instead speak to striking auto workers in Detroit. Polls show Trump leading the primary field by nearly 40%. 20%, with 54% support among Republicans.
Republicans watching the debate on Wednesday will have two big questions to answer. One, even though he won't be on stage, are they ready to settle on the leader of the pack? And two, if they do, will he be able to turn Reagan country red again?
A recent poll found Ron DeSantis slipping to 5th place in the crucial state of New Hampshire. A showdown with Newsom could be a worthy spotlight. Meanwhile, the Biden campaign is reportedly sending Governor Newsom to tomorrow's GOP debate to speak on behalf of the president's policies. Rhiannon, Andrew?
Lionel, thank you. Coming up, remembering a beloved star from TV's NCIS.
Also ahead, demanding answers after a former Nazi gets a standing ovation in the Canadian Parliament.
Whenever news breaks.
The crushing families here in Poland.
Here in Kentucky, no match for the tornado.
From Monterey Park, California, on the ground in Ukraine.
Reporting from Uvalde, Texas. ABC News Live is right there everywhere.
From the scene of that deadly missile strike in Dnipro, Ukraine. Reporting from the earthwake in Turkey.
From Charleston, South Carolina on the 2024 campaign trail.
From Kathmandu, Nepal.
Rocky, California, covering record snowfall.
Traveling with the president in Mexico City.
Wherever the story.
Here at this airport in Tampa, it's already shut down.
Reporting from the nurses on the picket line.
Reporting from Jerusalem.
Here at 10 Downing Street in London.
Streaming live to you.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is.
Wherever the story is. We're going to take you there.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live.
You're streaming ABC News Live.
ABC News Live. Streaming free everywhere. America's #1 streaming news. With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any other newscast. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir, America's #1 most watched newscast across all of television.
We are back now with a bad ride in Canada. An investigation is underway into why customers got stuck upside down 75 feet in the air for nearly half an hour at this theme park near Toronto. 2 riders had to be treated for chest pains.
Also in Canada, an uproar after a former Nazi got a standing ovation in the Canadian Parliament. It all started when Ukraine's president spoke to lawmakers. Then the Speaker of the House praised a 98-year-old Ukrainian man who once served in a Nazi unit accused of genocide. The man's past had apparently not been vetted. The Speaker apologized but is facing calls to resign.
We turn now to the loss of a beloved actor whose career spanned generations.
Scottish actor David McCallum charmed viewers as Ducky Mallard on the hit show NCIS.
You and Agent Todd will be receiving copies of all our tests.
Almost 20 years to the day after the show premiered, McCallum passed away yesterday at age 90. He rose to stardom in the 60s, alongside Stephen Queen in The Great Escape.
You'll never believe it, but I think I have the solution.
And later, playing a Russian spy on the hit drama The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
And I go and I do whatever I am told to.
His character had only 4 lines in the first episode, but he soon became a fixture of the series and a sex symbol with throngs of adoring fans. A 1965 profile of McCallum claimed McCallum's motorcades are now, by order of the police chiefs of the city he visits, forbidden to stop anywhere along the line of drive. If the entourage slowed, there would be carnage in the streets. McCallum also found the time to write music, some you might recognize. You may know that as the intro to Dr. Dre's hit song, The Next Episode, but it was originally written by McCallum at the height of his fame. After The Man from U.N.C.L.E. wrapped up, McCallum would enjoy a smaller spotlight with roles on shows like Murder, She Wrote and Sex and the City.
Oh, you are an icon, you are.
Before becoming a fan favorite as the eccentric medical examiner on NCIS.
The way things turned out, so will I.
In a statement, his NCIS co-star, Mark Harmon, saying, "I was in awe when I first met him, and all of us on the show were honored to have towed a mark opposite him."
Quite the life and career. McCallum is survived by his wife, 4 kids, and 8 grandkids.
Coming up, what's going to be different this Halloween?
Plus, what Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have been up to.
All right, here we go. You ready? Let's do it.
Yes, it's the show America wants and America needs right now.
This is What Would You Do? Let's go. How are you?
So what will you be watching Saturdays on ABC News Live?
What would you do? Hey, I guess I just found out.
The What Would You Do Marathon, 2 to 6 Eastern, every Saturday on ABC News Live.
My favorite show. It's lunchtime in America, so what are we serving up?
Well, how about everything you need to know?
You know, that sounds pretty good.
Give it to me. Your health, your money, breaking news, pop culture, with the biggest stars, music, trends, and of course, good food. GMA 3, what you need to know. A third hour of GMA in the afternoon.
So join us after news.
For everything you need to know. I love that.
From America's #1 news comes the all-new ABC News app. Breaking news, incredible video, faster, smarter, and customizable to your interests. If you love being in the know, you're going to love this. Experience the all-new ABC News app. Download it now.
Reporting on the flooded streets of Treasure Island, I'm Ginger.